Alright folks, been a while hasn't it since I've done quite a few Gears videos, but obviously E-Day has announced and we can confirm that there will be multiplayer. There were some people kind of umming and ahhing about, hey, on the Steam game section there's nothing been actually announced, and the tag section is going and not putting multiplayer on there, so we don't believe there'll be multiplayer. The way the Steam tag systems work is it's just the community deciding, and obviously because the game hasn't come out yet, it's just what they've put on there. Like if everybody decided that Dota 2 was an FPS game, there would be the FPS tag on there. So from an article here, it says, whilst Gears of War franchise is known for its emotional shooter campaigns, you can always count on an equally intense multiplayer experience. Well, should put an X there with a caveat and say sometimes you can have an intense experience. It says whether Microsoft nor the Coalition have actually detailed anything about this so far, both co-op and competitive multiplayer have been confirmed. So yeah, there you go. There has been confirmation of multiplayer if any of you were in doubt. Today, wanted to just do a short video on this channel. I'm not going to be crying over the release or screaming or shouting. There are plenty of people that covered that with some, let's just say, not very realistic reactions. They're looking for that PR, mate. You know, that's just how it is, bro. You've got to be wary of it, and I'll tell you why in an up-and-coming moment. But I appreciate everyone that is excited about the game, that is excited about the classic return, but I'm going to do some chats here. So, first interesting chat, seems though this is, I realise, you know, like this is my channel, so I can just talk about what I want. So the first thing, right, Nickmercs is excited to return to Gears of War, right? Bear in mind, guys, I'm not bashing Nickmercs at all. All I'm saying is, in the Gears 5 days, Shroud, Nickmercs, Dr. Disrespect, all these people were also excited then. They were excited for Gears 4. It's when there's a big game, everyone's excited about it because everybody wants to play a big game and everybody hypes it up. It doesn't mean they'll stick around. So I know you're all hyped up that this is it. Gears is back forever and it's going to be the biggest game ever. You know, as the TV show said, curb your enthusiasm just a little bit, not to be negative, but we've got to remember that these people, they come in, they play for a few weeks, and they move on to the next big game. That's how it is. Now, it might be that Gears of War stays the next big game, and they'll stay for that reason, but these people, the top guys are businessmen, and they will move on to whatever's popular or whatever's hyped at the time, or whatever their core audience is known for watching them, right? The interesting point about Nickmercs, okay, is this. Nickmercs, I think it was like June the 11th, came out and he said that there's no such thing as transgender people, right? And you can all live in your fantasy land and everything. And I think this is an interesting one because he got a load of abuse, but more so he got a ton of acceptance, and you speak your mind, you say what you want. And it'll be interesting how the Coalition reacts, because remember little old me? I accidentally brushed over the line that somebody could potentially not be a skunk. Potentially, right? I don't believe a human being can be an animal. Controversial, I know, but I don't believe a human being can be an animal. Gears of War is absolutely full of, you know, as the skunk put it, LGBTQ plus AIS spaces, which with the number 2, which means two-spirit people. Now, everybody's excited about Nickmercs playing and everybody's buzzing. I want to know, why don't you have the same energy? Not particularly my community, because my community like me, I'd like to think. But all these people that were in my DMs for years, absolutely abusing, stalking, literally stalking, and been just awful on every single video for months and years, and saying it's brilliant, you've got rid of him. Where is your energy for Nickmercs? Because the precedent you've set is that people like that can't play the game. So I'm just hoping that you hold that same energy for every other single person that believes in that stuff, right? because that's the precedent you've set. So it'll be interested to see if the Coalition let Nickmercs play the game. Be interesting, won't it? Just to see how the tides turn for when it's a big character. Now, when we talk about people being excited about Gears of War and will they stay, won't they stay, I want you to think about this. The game E-Day, it's gonna come out and it's gonna be popular 100%. They've marketed it and it's tipped in a way that I just know it will be a success, right? On launch, just like Gears 5 was on launch. We're going to play the campaign and we're going to hop into multiplayer. Now, I've seen tweets with 1 million plus views and I've seen TikToks with 600,000-700,000 views of people wall bouncing on Gears 5 doing all the crazy stuff. Bear in mind, these are absolutely terrible players that do it in custom games, and no one is as good as the GOAT GGZII, but that's by the by, right? But these people are doing these clips and they're saying like Gears is so aggressive, it's exciting, and all the comments are like, yeah, this is why I love Gears multiplayer. No campers, no rifles, they're brave, they push. You see these videos and these clips with millions of comments and views, and I want to ask them, where are they? I want you to be critical, because this is a critical thinking channel. These people, they just get wrapped up in hype. It's like, oh yeah, that thing's popping off and I'm involved in it and people can see I'm involved in it, so I can leech some success off that and here and there. They're serial grifters in every single gaming scene. And when something pops off, you bet your bottom dollar, I guarantee it, let's say if Elden Ring, I guarantee people were all of a sudden magically interested in Souls-like games. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with getting interested in a game because it got popular. That's how word spreads around. But what these people do is they involve themselves on tweets, on videos. They churn out clips in a desperate attempt to siphon some of that audience for themselves. So at the moment, you will probably see a wave of people posting Gears 1, 2 and 3 related things, talking about classic Gears, sharing experiences, getting back on the game, and all they're doing is, it's not for the love of the game they're playing, it's they know the thing is a living, breathing entity and it's got some life into it. They're trying to siphon some fans and some money back onto themselves until Gears E-Day releases, and you know, they can get hyped about it. That's what it's about, because you'll see all these people and the way they talk, you'll see millions and millions of videos and comments about just how incredible Gears multiplayer is, and they just love it. They're never playing it. Gears is a pretty small game, and they'll play a handful of games. And we used to watch back on the channel, we watched a panel of people actually play Gears 5, and all of them hopped on for the evening and they all told us just how much they love Gears 5 and how it just amazing it is and everything they've done. They were all like level 3, you know, they'd never played the game before. They were all saying how fantastic it was, and they played it for the evening, and I kept an eye on that channel, and they never played it again. A lot of people will just jump on the popular thing, siphon a bit of love and praise, because it's kind of like this. If I talk massively positive about Gears of War and Gears E-Day, anybody that trips across my video that likes Gears of War and E-Day is quite likely to say thank you to me, to say well done, I'm glad you're back in the scene, give a subscription a like. If I talk like this open and honestly, and I you know, just get everyone to have an air of caution, you'll get comments like I do, like, oh bro, you need to lighten up and be excited like everybody else. I'm excited for the game to experience a different era of the campaign. I really enjoyed Gears Tactics. People were out parading saying it should have had a multiplayer. I said that if you play the game on insane difficulty and tried to keep every unit alive like I did, the Immortal Hero achievement, you'll find that it's a very good detailed tactical game. And I just play how I want to play and I talk how I want to talk. That's how I've always done the channel, and it seems to occasionally generate some moderate success and people like me being honest. And I like the fact that, you know, you've got people like Jack Frags, Flexes, that have been a little bit skeptical, and they're saying, hey, I really am excited about E-Day, but the way the Coalition were dead silent, it still leaves a sore taste in my mouth, and I'm also concerned about multiplayer. Now, when we talk about multiplayer and like concern, I don't mean that it will be a bad game. I'm not sitting here telling you it'll be a bad game. What I mean is, just think logically, right? I know the hype's in and everyone's excited, but think logically. There will be a Gears of War 6. So this game is probably going to lead people on to Gears 6. Now, if they're going to do massive, massive innovation to the multiplayer, that's probably going to be in Gears 6. And they'll save the classic stuff and the easier stuff for Gears E-Day, because Gears E-Day is already a win. You need to think about it as like a company. Gears E-Day has got the win, right? Regardless of if the multiplayer is just the same as Gears 1 or Gears 2 or 3, they've got the win locked in. It's going to be popular. Gears 6 still has that skepticism about robots and storyline and multiplayer. They need the win there. So I imagine all of their multiplayer focus and like big changes would go into that era or the next game, whatever. Maybe there's another game after E-Day that isn't Gears 6, but you know, that's what I would imagine they're doing. And the reason I'm talking about this is everybody's telling me that basically they love classic Gears. And I'm here to say that's great, and I appreciate that as somebody that also likes classic Gears, but there's a reason UE, which is Ultimate Edition, died off right now. I can say that not having custom games, especially with PC and no crossplay, was terrible. Poor servers, you know, it wasn't good. They could have kept it alive a lot longer with that. But even UE died because, you know, after you've scratched your itch a little bit and you've got your classic action, you've played 20 games of Execution, 20 King of the Hills, you've played some Guardian or whatever, you know, and you've got your itch and your scratch has been fulfilled, you're probably looking at the next game that's coming out. There aren't many people that, let's say, will think, I'm going to go play 400 multiplayer games of UE multiplayer / E-Day when, let's say, the new Fable's coming out or whatever game is coming out, right? They'll move on. And all the people that say they love Gears to death, they won't be playing it, and that's just the reality, right? So I'm just telling you to just curb your enthusiasm just a little bit, because I think people are getting way ahead of themselves about the scope of the game. You know, it doesn't mean it can't be big, but we have to think the classic Gears died because basically there was no kind of PvE element, right? Cliffy B in a recent interview said that the Gears 2 multiplayer was ass, which I agree with. It was a terrible multiplayer, and the reason that game was saved was because people went, okay, let's try Horde, and they really enjoyed Horde. I think there needs to be a good PvE game to keep casuals and people interested in Gears for E-Day, you know, and not just Horde. You know, there needs to be something. So I'm wondering, I'm going to ask you the question, because I sometimes talk a lot, but I want to ask you the question. If UE was so amazing, like everyone tells me, and it was so brilliant, I want to ask you, why did everyone stop playing it? Was it because the new game came out? Was it some balance issue? Was it you just got bored? I don't know, because I didn't play the game, because personally I'd had so much fun on Gears 1 in my life, I didn't need to go and relive it with a UE experience. So I'm asking you, as you know, the audience, let me know in the comments below, if UE in classic Gears is so incredible, and everybody on Twitter is telling me that it's so incredible, why does it keep dying off? And how are they going to stop that happening? For me, what I think it is, I think they're making E-Day. They'll ride that wave out for 6 months, then the multiplayer will kick in and all of that, and probably after a year it will phase out again and they'll start looking at the next game. I don't think UE will be a game that has 3, 4, 5 years of live service as Gears 5 was meant to have. I don't think it will be that. I could be entirely wrong, obviously, but I don't think it will have multiple years of support. So, you know, there's a lot of hype and there's a lot of excited voices around there, and I'm pleased you're all excited, but I think it just rubs me the wrong way. And I see this just all the time, not just with Gears, with loads of games, like people will just they'll just get involved and they'll share clips of like seeing clips of people powering through wall bouncing on Foundation. If you've never ever seen Gears and you look at that, you might go, that looks really cool, I want to get involved. But we know really what that is, and it's not very good. And I just think it's quite fake. And obviously I like to be real on my channel. My channel is totally real. You'll see me be angry, happy, sad, annoyed, explain myself in my monthly updates, but it's all real because that's the only way I can be. I couldn't bring myself to get excited and hyped for that trailer because of how the Coalition treated me. But also, I do enjoy the campaign, but I was hesitant about multiplayer. So I couldn't get that hyped. I just think it'll be interesting to see how people treat Nickmercs and other people that have spoke out like that. Will TC ban them? It will be interesting to see just how many of these millions and millions of people that have been telling the world how much they love Gears multiplayer, how many will be there in 2 months post-launch. You know, it will be interesting to see. Maybe it recaptures their hearts and they're genuine. I think a lot of it is just piling on something that's popular, because out of the Xbox reveal, there wasn't that many fantastic games to get hyped about. And I feel like a lot of the shills have gravitated towards Gears, which is strange because it's not normally a game that you would talk about as a shill game because it is small. But those were just some thoughts. You know, I just thought I'd share them with you. Let me know if you're enjoying these videos or not. I can keep them up, or I can not keep them up. Sometimes a thought just pops into my mind, so I say it and do a video. Yeah, I'll just be I'll be keeping an eye out, because it reminds me, there's like this person, I used to go to college with them. She's the biggest shill I've ever seen in my life, mate. Every single game that is remotely popular just happens to be the biggest fan of, happens to want to go to, you know what I mean? Like these people, and I've started to see it with Gears that, oh, this game's popping off, I'm just going to tell everybody I'm dead excited about it. Maybe I'm just a bit jaded, you know, when you've played online video games since 2006, we've seen it all, we've done it all. So yeah, maybe I'm a little bit jaded, who knows? But honest as always.